Hello everybody, hopefully you can all hear me. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you're all doing good. And we're going to carry on today with our series here on excuse me one second, I'm having lots of technical issues. Right, I think we're set. Let's start the engines and get going. Right, so now that we know we're set and we're up and running properly, how are you all doing? Hopefully you're all doing good. The day is not going too bad, apart from, of course, all of the technical issues that I'm having with going live again. But it's all the fun of the fair. Hopefully, as I say, we should be up and running now, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully he should just set off now. Yep. Yeah, so as I say, hopefully everything's good now, and we'll get up and running. So how are you all doing? Hopefully you all had a good weekend. Hopefully you all had a good weekend, and the weather and everything was fair for you. So today is all about getting the harvest finished today. I don't think we need the lights on, do we? It's all about getting the harvest finished, and then moving on to some other jobs. We've got some baling to do, or baling that we've done over there that needs collecting, and we need to get the animals sorted out as quickly as possible as well. We need to find some grass so that we can bale some hay and silage. And crikey, this tank's filling up rather quickly. Hello down on the farm, how are you doing? Hopefully you're doing good, and thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon. And I have to say, as I look out my window, this very beautiful Monday afternoon, although the storm clouds do look like they're rolling in. But as I say, hopefully you're doing good. And yeah, it's just an hour today, so roughly we're going to finish around going to be finishing around sort of 2:30, something like that. As I said before, I'm in the living room, and someone has said, look, if you're live streaming today, that's grand, but I'm coming in at this time to to watch TV. So that's what we're up against today. We'll keep the auger out as it happens because because we're soon going to need to unload again. So as I say, we'll keep the auger available. But yeah, as I say, hopefully everyone's good. Get this done, and then as I say, we're going to get on with some other field work. We'll get on with collecting those bales, and as I say, we'll start to try and see if we can't sort out some grass for the cows, and start getting some hay and silage done. There's more equipment that we need as well. So when I set the save up, I didn't get everything that I needed. I just kind of got the basics for us to begin. So we will need a couple of more bits and pieces. And as I say, we've sort of kind of got the money now to go up to get some lorries and a grain chaser, because as I've said before, that's more, you know, a little bit more American than having grain carts running up alongside the combine. But yeah, once we get sort of that sorted, we'll be up and away. Tell you what, these peas do not take this tank long to fill. And it looks like my carts are not emptying. Why are they not emptying? What has gone wrong with this? I know exactly what's gone wrong with this. It doesn't accept peas. That's what's gone wrong with this. Yes, I hadn't thought of that. Slight issue. I forgot my silo wouldn't accept peas. Right. Okay. We will come into here and we will find out where the best place to sell peas is. And we'll sell them straight from the field. So the best price that we can hope for is 342. And they're nowhere near that. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And I don't actually have anywhere to store them. Well, that's the best sell point, so I think we'll send it to Flathead Feed and Grain, which does mean that's going to hold up harvest a little bit, right? So if we do this and go to here, there we go. Do the same with this one. Alright, the first thing we need to do is to get this back to the yard so that we can unload some bales. and see what happens. Yes, this has not started off too well. I didn't realise, well I should have realised, but the silos that I normally use on all of my saves obviously are not installed on here. I'm obviously using the ones that have come on the map, and obviously they've not made them multi-fruit, so whether in the future I'd sort of make them multi-fruit or whether actually I just keep... To be fair, I'm not actually going to be growing peas anymore, so we've got a train coming. Yeah, I'm not going to be selling peas anymore, so not going to be growing peas anymore, so it won't matter too much in terms of like we can't store them. I think most of the crops that we'll be growing and ultimately then selling will be crops that I can store, so you know it isn't going to matter too much. But oh, you know what I forgot, don't you? Bow trailer. That's why I left it there. I was like, I'll leave that there. We'll get a bow trailer, and then we can go back. I've forgotten the bloody bow trailer. Yeah. So as I say, we'll nip and get that, and then we will start to get some of those bales lifted. I might, with the size of the map and also the fact that there's only little old me playing, I might use a slightly unrealistic trailer for collecting bales and stuff like that, just because it will make it slightly easier, and plus as well all the other bale trailers that I've got are actually sort of like UK style trailers, in terms of the like the Bailey trailers and stuff like that. So as I say, I'll be using this because I've seen some American videos where the trailers and the haulers that they use to haul around the bales is pretty spectacular. So I think this trailer will be okay, you know, moving forward. But yeah, so we'll get back to the farm and we will get those bales collected while those two tractors are off selling peas, because as I say, they but there it is, there's one. That was one tractor. It would have been slightly ironic if the farmer had crashed into his own tractor, wouldn't it? Oh dear me. And now I've cut that corner so bloody tight. I've yeah, they got honking your horn at me, is it? I'm a crap driver. Anyway, right, we'll get off to the farm. Hopefully we won't encounter the train this time, although luckily I did stop in time. Yes, I did manage to stop before I got clobbered by a humongous grain train. But yeah, so we'll get over there, we'll get those bales picked up, we'll get them back to the yard. Both of them have tipped already, so in all fairness, we will probably be able to get on with some combining. I'm kind of hoping, although 2 is pushing it perhaps a little bit, but it would have been nice if we could have maybe got another, well, it would be ideal if we could get a couple of lorries on the go, because moving forward what will happen is I'll get rid of the trailers in terms of grain carting, because that's not really what's done in the States. I'll get a grain auger, we'll get a decent sized tractor, so that we've obviously got a little bit of muscle to pull our grain auger, and then we'll be unloading into into the lorries, and obviously the lorries will be able to take a much higher capacity to the sell points, although to be fair they will only be tipping at the farm normally, because you know, as I've said, I kind of should have realised that the silos wouldn't take the peas, but at the same time I was kind of like sort of thinking I'll be like the map I'm on at the moment, sort of in my private game where it's multi-fruit and I can just kind of tip whatever into the silo and crack on, but no, it isn't quite like that, which is good. I mean, you know, it's fair enough, it's realistic, so I'm not complaining. But yeah, we need to start getting on, as I say, with the harvest. We need to get some bales back to the farm, and we also need to get some grass cut and some, you know, sort of silage and hay and stuff as well for the cows. So yeah, busy, but we will get there. I think we will get there. It's a rather high up scarecrow. Of course, in the first episode as well, we also bought this field coming up here, not the green that you can see, but the one beyond it, that had our rape in it. So we harvested that in the last episode, and we got that done. So we've got that to sell as well, as and when the time comes. As I say, as and when the time comes, we can get that sold, and we can start sort of kind of looking to branch out and keep progressing this farm. I want to eventually, if I can, because as I say, this is going to be a series on sort of YouTube that I live stream, so it is going to be a full series, but obviously the difference being, rather than recording the episodes and then the episodes going up at 3, I'll be sort of live streaming. I'll try and do I'll do a minimum of 1 a week, but I will try to do 2 or 3 a week if I can, so that this sort of series, because it's going to take a long time, because this is a massive map. Hello, sorry. Right, what we'll do is we'll get this down to the field. Yeah, they are following. I thought they would be following me, to be fair. We'll get this down to the field where the bales are, and then we'll drop that off in that field, and then we'll carry on with the harvest, because now we've got 2 tractors and trailers. I don't think they're going to get round in time, so I think there's going to come a point when you know, I'll be sat waiting again for carts. As I've said before, I'm combining the peas this time just to get rid of them, because I didn't set them in the field, they were just there, so I thought, well, we'll combine them this time, but I won't be growing them in the future. You know, I'm sort of going to stick more to the cottons, the soybeans. We'll do wheats, barleys and all of that, because Montana, you know, its climate, from what I can understand, and I've sort of done research, but not extensive research, but I kind of sort of get the impression that it's probably not too dissimilar to the UK in the types of crops that it grows quite a lot of, so like sugar beet, wheats, barleys, oats, stuff like that. Yeah, it does, you know, so we'll try and sort of stick to what's you know, sort of what is available in Montana, but we will also be growing sort of peanuts, soybeans, and you know, sort of stuff like that as well. Cotton, you know, we'll be doing that as well, and we'll try and keep it just a little bit more American if we can, rather than sort of English/European, because obviously that's what I do. That's what I do, you know, sort of in my general saves and general videos. that go out every day. So I just thought, this way we sort of do something a little bit different, and we're sort of able to keep it kind of fresh and new, really. And it means also as well I get a different way to play the game, which is always good, because as I say, I don't tend to play American maps in my sort of farming sim career, if you like. I tend to stick with the European/UK maps, mainly because it's what I know, it's where I'm from, and why not stick to what you know, sort of thing. But it's always good to do something new. And as I say, the thing with doing like a big map like this and doing it through live stream, it just means that I'm able to fully utilize the map and everything on it, and I don't have to be conscious of sort of how long this is taking or how long that's taking. The work is the work, and we just crack on. And so yeah, that sort of, I think, works a lot better than just as I say, than just sort of a little bit of time lapse here and a little bit of this here and that there, and it's, I don't know, it always just feels a little bit disjointed. But I kind of realise with my regular videos that that's what needs to be done. That's what needs to be done. But for now, we'll carry on doing it the way we're doing it. But who knows for the future? I could possibly be persuaded to move over to sort of streaming full time. I don't know yet. I've sort of not really thought that far ahead. At the moment there's no real need for me to think that far ahead in terms of what I'm going to be doing sort of moving forward. But yeah, it's certainly something that I would consider looking at, and I guess as well depends on kind of what my audience is really wanting as well, because a lot of my audience might say, well, no, actually, I would rather you put out your videos at 3, because for the live streams, there could be a couple of hours long or whatever, and I'm not going to be able to have the time to sit and watch a couple of hour video. Whereas at the moment, I have got the time to sit and watch, you're sort of, they're anywhere from sort of 25 to about 40 minutes, my videos. From the ground up is a little bit longer, but that save is quite a bit different to any sort of regular save that you would do on Farm Sim and on YouTube, and so therefore those videos warrant being slightly longer, I think, than just the usual sort of 25 to sort of 40 minutes. I think Monday's video that goes out this week, yesterday, I think that was nearly 50 some odd minutes, but a lot happened, and I like to sort of bring people along for the full ride. I don't like to sort of skip and jump and hop, and people kind of sort of think, oh, that's great, but the last time we saw that, it was nowhere near like that, and for example, from the ground up, I'm having to build my house to live in, and then if I want workers, I have to build their houses. There's no point me in one episode showing you the house being started, and then the next time you come back, 5 houses have been completed, because you'd be like, well, what happened in the meantime? So that's why my videos do tend to be a little bit longer on that series, because I do like to take everyone along for the complete ride, so that we all get to see sort of how it progresses and how I progress. So yeah, that's kind of the the reason why I do it. But yeah, I'm really enjoying that save at the moment from the ground up. It really is a fascinating concept, something that's never been done as far as I'm aware. I mean, if I'm honest, I don't tend to watch farm sim videos on YouTube. You know, it's not that it doesn't interest me, it's just that I do it all day. So when I do sort of like turn the game off or want to relax or want to sort of chill out for a bit, you know, it would be, I suppose, a bit like, you know, sort of 10-15 years ago when I was at work and I would sort of spend all day at work on the farm and then come home and play farm sim, and it was kind of like you never really had a break from work. Whereas, as I say, like doing this, you know, full time, because you know, between recording and editing and as I say, now we've sort of added you know, live streaming to the channel as well. But doing this, I think is going to you know, is going to help. Yeah, sorry, I completely lost my train of thought. It was kind of like I was thinking, and like sort of the next bit of the conversation was coming into my head, and then it just kind of buggered off. It was kind of like, what was I saying? Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. So yeah, I tend to relax by not watching farm sim videos on YouTube. I tend to sort of relax by you know, sort of either watching my racing that I go to. I mean, for those that are regular to the channel will know that you know, alright, not now because the season has finished, but when the season comes back again, you know, on a Saturday, sometimes a Sunday and sometimes a Friday, you know, I'm sort of off racing, and you know, that can be either, you know, as close as Kings Lynn, which is like literally just down the road, you know, it's a 2-minute drive down the road, or to Hensford, which is, you know, sort of nearly 4 hours away. So you know, I'd sort of tend to then get busy with that, and obviously while you're at one meeting you're missing other meetings that are going on. So my YouTube career in terms of being a sort of viewer tends to be my racing, so I can catch up with everything that's going on, so that when they do get to Kings Lynn or somewhere near to, you know, where I'm going next, I sort of kind of know what rivalries have developed and where the story's at. So that's what I tend to do. But yeah, as I say, from my ground up series, I absolutely you know, love that series, and I really enjoy recording it. I really enjoy obviously playing it and stuff like that. And I think as I say, for anyone that's kind of watching this stream and that hasn't you know, sort of had a look at that series, then the next episode of that goes out today. Is a slightly longer episode, as I explained, because quite a bit happened in the episode that I recorded, but it's well worth a watch. And if you're kind of sort of listening and saying, yeah, I tell you what, Jimmy, I haven't seen it, why should I watch it? Well, as I've said, it's a bit of a different save. You know, I started off with nothing, which is, yeah, there's nothing new in that, everyone does that on YouTube. But I started off with nothing, and I had to build my own house, and every time I want a worker on the farm, if I want to use a helper, they have to have a house. You know, if they don't have a house, you can't have a worker. It's kind of, the map is completely barren, except fields, a shop and an animal dealership. There are a few other little buildings scattered about as well. There's a supermarket, well, there's 2 supermarkets, there's Aldi and Lidl on there, and the sort of idea of the save is that in order for me to be able to use those sell points for nothing, to just take my crops and sell them, those sell points need workers, those workers need houses, so therefore, you know, I have to build all the houses for all the workers. I'm basically building a map while trying to build a farm, and I've got it on hard, and it's very, very difficult. It's very, very hard. I've already had to take out 2 massive mortgages to stop me from going bust. There are penalties for everything, so if I want to use a sell point because I've got crop to sell, fine. But 24 hours before I want to use a sell point, I have to ring the city. The city send a worker. That costs me £10,000. It then costs me £1,000 every time I unload at that sell point that day. If I need to use the sell point the next day, fine. It's another £10,000, and it's another £1,000 every time I want to use that sell point. So the idea is that we've sort of never got no money. And I can assure you the concept works very, very well, because I have never got no money. And like I said, I've had to take out 2 massive loans already just to keep the business afloat. So the way I started it off was we rocked up at a place that had nothing, and the city basically said to me, set up a farm. If you set up a farm here, then you need to start building sort of houses, factories. It needs to be self-sustainable, and we need to try and attract people there. So there's going to be sort of tourists, there's going to be like holiday camps, a massive holiday park that I've got sort of kind of planned, so it's full on, and as I say, it's going to be a long series, that one, because sort of the series doesn't end until the map's completely rebuilt. And I'm doing it all from just kind of on the sort of spur of the moment, so there's not sort of any plan or any sort of set anything that I'm following. I'm just doing it off the cuff, and yeah, trying to basically, as I say, rebuild a map, with everything. But the biggest thing is the houses, the houses for the people to live in, to, work in the supermarkets, to work in the factories, to work in the sell points, to work in the production chains, having to produce all of my own materials, so having to produce, having to find the stone in order to produce, cement, bricks and roof slate, the wood obviously for the beams and the planks and whatever else, and the furniture, and just basically sort of kind of, like I say, just doing it from complete scratch and from the complete beginning, and see how we get on. I think we're in year 3 now. So I started off, I was allowed to do contracts. After 1 year of contracts, I was then allowed to do contracts, but I had to have the machines. After another year of contracting, if I had the machines, all the contracts ended. I had to then become self-sufficient, so I had to earn money through my own means. I couldn't sort of do jobs for someone else and earn money that way. So contracting has completely ended now. I made 1 or 2 mistakes at the beginning, because I took on sort of 2 fairly big tractors, some big cultivators and stuff, because I was obviously doing the contracts, and I needed to get through contracts quickly because I only had a year in which to sort of take full money for them, and it's now left, it did leave me with massive machines and no money to run them with. And now we're sort of down to 1 big cultivator, 2, still got the same tractors, so we've got a Vent 1050 and a Versatile 400, is it, or 480? I can't remember now. But like I say, that Vent is extremely expensive to run, so I tend not to run that. I think both trailers have gone. Oh no, he's coming. I thought there was a second one. I was like, I'm sure I didn't feel that one. But yeah, so as I say, that save is going to take a while. It's a slow burner. We've already got 1. So my house now on the save is almost complete. It's not quite, but it's almost complete. We're also building another house for the sawmill, because at the moment the sawmill that we're using on the farm is the really tiny one, because obviously one person can handle that. And then, as I say, we've got the bigger sawmill put down, but we now need to build the house for the person to move in, for them to work the sawmill, so that I can then take my wood there to get my wood processed. Once that sawmill is up and running, then I'll be able, as I say, I'll be able to get all my wood processed there. And we've reached the end of the headlands. I'm not really going to make it all the way through, to be fair. So what I'll do is I'll run down this breed down the outside here. We'll be stopping about halfway down, because there's no way that this tank will get me to the other end. And then, as I say, if there's no tractors and trailers available, we'll go and load some bales. So we've still got stuff to do while we're waiting for them to tip. But as I say, next harvest we won't be using carts. That won't be a thing. We won't be using the tractors and trailers. We'll be using trucks and an auger wagon and stuff like that. I did it this way this time round because I was setting the farm up and I kind of needed to get going, and then I sold a couple of crops, and then that sort of raised the money and sort of told me, actually I can get I could have bought the truck and the auger wagon straight away. So that's the reason why we're doing it this way this time. But moving forward, we're not going to be doing it that way. We're sort of going to do it hopefully a more efficient way, because we'll have sort of a high capacity auger wagon in the field with a high capacity wagon on the end of the field that will then take it back to the farm, tip it, and then obviously come back. I mean, so far the fields are fairly local, so it isn't going to take it 5 minutes to run to and from, which obviously really helps and is really good. And then from there, as I say, we'll be able to grow up and get the farm up and running, and then start looking to expand. But we need to get the machinery sorted first. As I say, I did do some research with in regards to Montana, and Verdestat is getting quite big in Montana at the moment. Apparently the 6 to 8 meter drills are very, very popular in Montana at the moment. We'll stop there. We'll put the auger out, but we'll go and load some bales. As I said, I've got the auto load trailer. Do you know what? It's gone funny again. I don't know why it's doing this. So many of you know from last week, because I keep going on about it, but I keep going on about it because it's really annoying and really frustrating. I got a new PC a couple of weeks ago, because I bet I didn't put I did put the tines on. I'll tell you what, actually I could use, if I can't use auto load, I could use, it does mean I'll have to go back to the bloody farm and then the shop again. Whoop, don't hit the trailer. Don't hit the trailer. But what I could use is I could go to the shop, get the 3 barrel grab and load the trailer that way, couldn't I? Which will really help, because as I say, I got this new PC, right, and I installed the game, which was a fresh install. Obviously, I sort of re-downloaded it and put it in fresh, and then moved all of my mods from my old PC to this PC, then my save games over, and for some unbeknown reason that has just kind of unleashed chaos all across my sort of computer and all across Farm Sim. I have absolutely no idea why, because I've done it so many times in the past without one bit of trouble, but now it's kind of, I don't know, it's just giving me grief. And sort of auto load's not working properly because it sort of double letters everything. Well, when you press the combination, but obviously with just like using one R, it doesn't work because it wants you to press, you know, sort of Alt RR, or Control or Shift or whatever. And yeah, it's just it's so frustrating. But there we go. I guess we'll eventually get there in the end, but when, I don't know. But yeah, very frustrating. And I wish I'd kind of, in a way, just gone completely from the beginning again, and sort of done it that way. I think that would have been a much better thing to do. But like I say, I tried to be, well, not really clever, but I just tried to sort of move stuff over so that we could just carry on where we were, and it really hasn't worked like that. We'll pull into the farm for now because that tractor and trailer, as we saw, has just gone back, so we'll leave him here, and then we'll tab over to the combine again and wait for him to arrive, and then we can get him loaded. I just want to get this field harvested, to be fair. I really want to just get this field harvested, and then sort of get on with our other jobs. As I say, we needed to go to the yard anyway because I need to drop the forks off, and then we'll go and get I'll show you what it is that I mean. If we get that, is it that one? Yeah, it's that one. So if we do that telehandler, I don't think there is a Merlot green, is there? No. So we'll just have it jet black. That'll be fine. And we'll buy that, and then we can use that to pick up the bales, which as I say, will then stop me. Well, not stop me, but I won't be able to use the auto load, as it turns out. So we'll just load the bales that way. We've got the Crone, obviously, big M baler with the little trailer. I don't know what you call that little trailer on the back, but we've got that baler, so we'll be able to just bale away, and then pick the bales up in threes thereafter. So it means that I should be able to stack the bales relatively okay. We are talking about me, for God's sake, so there probably will be a shambles, just because I'm not the greatest at stacking bales. I wasn't in real life when I worked on the second farm that I worked on, which was a 12,000 acre farm out in the fens, and yeah, I know my job primarily was ploughing, but I mean that was why I was taken on, because I was to be, my job was ploughing for a good 11 months of the year, but I very rarely got asked to do stacking and sort of forklift work, because I really wasn't very good at it. I have no idea why. Good morning to you, Jeff. Sorry, I do apologise. I read my name, not your name. But yeah, so as you can see, we're back on Montana again, and we are carrying on with the pea harvest for now, but we're having to kind of intermittently sort of try and collect some bales as well, because I kind of forgot that the silo doesn't accept peas. So it's not a multi-fruit silo, so we're sort of sending the tractors and trailers off to sell the peas, and then in the meantime, while we're waiting for the trailers, we're trying to sort out bales, but we've just found out that the auto stack's not working, so I've got to stack the bales manually myself, which as I was sort of explaining there when you joined, should be fun, because I'm not very good at using the telehandler. I think when I was working on the farm, I think the only time really I got let loose with a telehandler was loading grain, which I could do okay, and we had our own lorries anyway, and a lot of our grain stores had the the bins, where you could where they would load the lorries themselves, because it would come out of a spout on the back of the shed, a bit like the new DLC shed really. The lorries would just pull up lengthways to that obviously, and then just unload or load, as it was. And then on the other end of the shed obviously we had the pit that the tractors and trailers would tip into. But yeah, so sort of lorry loading out of just conventional grain stores, because we did have quite a few of those, our automated grain stores if you like, although I think we had a 12,000 litre grain store and an 8,000 litre grain store. That wasn't enough for all of the grain that we grew, so we did have some traditional sort of we had a couple of concreted grain stores where we used to have to tip in over the tins on elevators and layer it in, and the really old-fashioned way of doing it, the way my granddad would have done it. And then we did also have some wooden floor grain stores where we would literally just back the trailers in and tip, and then we would have, I mean, on the second farm it was Kerry that worked in the grain store, and she would just sort of spend all day pushing it up, and if we were sort of storing and selling at the same time, she'd be pushing it up, and then when the lorries got back to the yard, she would then be loading them up and sending them away. So you know, she'd have a full-on day. But yeah, so my telehandler sort of work was very limited, because I just wasn't that good at it, as we're about to find out when I come to load these bales in a little while. As I have said, Jeff, and to all the others that are watching as well, time is short today because I've I got the live stream started, and then someone walks into the living room, hands me a bit of paper that just says, "I've already booked the TV for 10 to 3." So, and by that time it was like sort of 20 to 2 when I sort of kind of started, so I was like, okay, fair enough. So it will be a shorter stream, as I say, this time round. Oh dear. Oh well, hopefully they'll just run the crop down. I would have made a very good farmer, wouldn't I? I wasn't paying at all attention. Never mind. I think the other trailer has emptied as well, so we'll just see whether that tractor will actually just run on the crop. You know, it's not ideal and I don't like it, but it is what it is. So we'll just take it for what it is. Like I say, we won't be doing it again, I can assure you of that much, mainly because I won't be driving the combine again. I wouldn't have thought. I'm guessing that I will be driving the auger wagon or the chaser bin. That's what we call them here in the UK. We call them chaser bins. But yeah, so I'll be doing that. But yeah, so it's going to be fun watching me load those bales. Oh, he's a good man. Or good lady, I don't know. Is that a lady? Oh, I don't know, can't tell. Let's go this way and have a look. Yeah, it's a good lady. We'll get as much as we can into there, and then I don't think the other trailer is going to be back in time, so we'll go back to the yard, drop the forks off the forklift, and then go to the shop, pick up the bale grab thing. I forget the name of that bloody the bale grab that we've grabbed hold of. I can never remember the name of that. And we'll bring that back to the farm, and then by then the trailers will be back again and we can do a bit more combining. I wasn't originally going to harvest them, and then I sort of kind of thought, well, do you know what, actually they're there. I didn't, you know, set them. They were sort of as I sort of bought the field on the game, so I thought I might as well harvest them. I knew it was going to be a pain in the bum, to be fair, but it was also going to be quicker than using a P-viner. As I say, I tend to sort of do that sort of stuff on my European sort of / UK type saves and maps, whereas this one I want to go more American, or actually he will make it back, so they might actually just be able to make that round. That would be quite interesting to know whether that is the case or not, whether actually over the, now that they've got the gap, because that's how it was in real life. So one of my other jobs on the farm was I used to drive the tatey harvester, and when you started sort of first thing in the morning, or if you went and started a new field, what would tend to happen is that the carts would all bunch up, and you'd go a couple of 3 hours where you've just continually got a cart there all the time. But then because they were there straight away, they then get held up at the either on the road trying to get sort of back to the yards, or they would get held up in the yard, because obviously we'd have 4 potato harvesters going. So and yes, I think we had 3 unload points. So we had 3 separate sort of grader set up, so that we could just keep tipping a high volume of potatoes all the time, and because they would go straight into boxes anyway. They would be graded, cleaned and everything, and then put into boxes, and then the boxes would be put into store. But what would happen is because you had them all there from sort of like minute 1, they'd all then start stacking up at the farm, especially if 2 harvesters started at the same time. They'd all stack up at the farm, and then you were in big trouble then, because you could be sitting an hour and a half, 2 hours without a trailer, and that was downtime, and I didn't like downtime. I'm not someone that can just kind of sit there and idly sort of twiddle my thumbs while I wait. So I mean we had two trail potato harvesters. So I was on one of the trailed ones, which was a Grimmy GT 170, and then in the final year that I was there, I had a standing potato harvester, a brand new one. I didn't prefer it over the Grimmy, if I'm honest. Preferred the Grimmy. The Grimmy was easier to use, I felt. I guess as well. I mean, a little bit of that was I was used to the Grimmy, because I'd been using it for, sort of 4 or 5 years or whatever. So I suppose there is an element of I was used to that potato harvester, and also as well, I didn't find the turning on the standing very good. I used to find that the Grimmy would follow my tractor exact, and the steering sort of mechanism on the standing wasn't quite as responsive and accurate as the Grimmy's one was. So like I say, horses for courses, because they changed both of them the same year, and the other guy that ran the other stand, and he loved it more than the Grimmy. So as I say, horses for courses. I didn't like it, I didn't really get on with it, but I only had it for that year, and he really did like it, which just sort of kind of, as I say, goes to show that not every machine or whatever is going to suit every single person. But yeah, so I used to do that. So I used to do the potato harvest, and then we had 2 at the time when I was there. They had 2 Grimmy 470 Varitrons, I think they were. I'm sure they were 470. Put the auger in. I'm sure they were Grimmy 470s, and now they've just got 4 DeWolf self-propelled potato harvesters. So they've done away with the trail ones completely, and it's slightly better with the if you like the bunker potato harvesters, obviously, because they can hold quite a bit themselves. They're in essence they're like another tractor and trailer, because as they're harvesting they can hold it. And this year I was out the other day running errands on Friday, and I happened to go past the field, or one of the fields that I used to obviously that the farm owned, that I used to work for, and I noticed that this year they had 4 the 4 DeWolfs in the field, but they also had 2 Ploger self-propelled potato harvesters, and so I stopped and went over and stuck me nose in and had a chat and kind of what's going on here kind of thing. And then they were just on demonstration, so yeah, the Plogers were on demonstration. Apparently the farmer wondering if there is a potato or a particular sort of potato harvester that can mean they can go down to running 2 and still have the same capacity as 4. So it'd be interesting to see what actually comes of that. You know, I mean, you know, when I first started there, they had 4 combines. So they had 3 Lexion 770s and they had a Lexion 600. And then when I left, they still had one of the 770s. I was a relief driver on that, so if there was no one else to drive it, then you know, I would go on there and drive it, you know, for the day, or you know, sometimes a few days. I had a couple of occasions where I was a combine driver and tractor and trailer driver. When I was combining rape, and the potatoes had sort of kind of so they set potatoes in blocks, so that, you know, they'll set loads sort of quite early. So, you know, 300, 400, 500 acre quite early. Then there'll be a gap, and then they'll set the next sort of, you know, 400 to 500 acre. Then there'll be a gap, and then they'll set the next lot, so that it all doesn't come at once. And what had happened was that rape and potatoes had kind of sort of come, or the first lot of potatoes had come at the same time. And so they said to me, you know, they're all going on the potato harvest. Would you mind going on the combine? And I was like, no, you know, I don't mind. And he said, but there is a sort of kind of little caveat to that. And I was like, go on. He said, you are going to have to drive your own tractor and trailer as well. So that was an interesting harvest. Spent most of the rape harvest sort of doing it myself, until the potatoes had sort of been a good way cleared for the first block, and then they started to release tractor and trailer drivers back to the cereal harvest. And so I was able then to just sort of concentrate on driving the combine, because I actually did have tractors and trailer drivers available. But yeah, we got up to some right old silly things in my time. I mean, it's a lot different now, apparently. You know, now you know, the machinery is still getting bigger, and it means that they've sort of cut the workforce even more than when I worked there. I mean, when I started there in 2009, I think it was 2009, 2010, something like that. And by the time I left in 2016, 17, something like that, you know, by the time I'd sort of left, you know, it hadn't been halved, but certainly a good 4 or 5 you know, workers had retired. So they didn't make any redundant, or, you know, sort of get rid of any. They just let them retire and just didn't replace them. But as I say, by then, you know, machinery was getting bigger, and we didn't really need them, and, you know, we were still able to output the same amount, you know, that we were doing. And, you know, because combines are getting bigger, because, you know, as I say, the crawlers are getting bigger, and I say crawlers because it was very, very rare that they would allow so tractors and trailers, in terms of wheeled tractors, would go on the fields to do the carting, and you had to, at all times where possible, stick to the tram lines. But all the cultivation work, all the drilling work, you know, any sort of land work was done with crawlers. As I've said before, I had an MT 775 E and an MT 875E, and they were my two sort of main tractors. So my 875E would pull my 9 metre Verdestat, and it would also pull my 14 furrow plough. But the other my smaller Challenger, that would be what I would do the majority of my ploughing on. But if I needed to sort of switch it up and, you know, needed a bigger plough, or if I was going contract plough, because I used to do a lot of contract ploughing as well, obviously because, you know, we would get paid by the acre or whatever, you know, the farm would say to me, right, 14 for a plough, big tractor, get through it. You know, don't necessarily worry about doing a fantastic job, just get through it, because the more you can get through, the more we get paid, you know, the more you get paid, and so it would mean that I would sort of go away, you know, for the time, you know, I've been contract, like, 'cause the farm's based in and around sort of Long Sutton Bridge, Spalding, Boston, and then going out towards Kings Lynn, and that way, and you know, very often, so they had their own lorries, and so if I was to go contract ploughing, say in, you know, Derbyshire or Nottinghamshire, or where else did I go? Suffolk, I went a couple of times. Then the Challenger and the ploughs would get taken on the low loaders, and then I would then they would pay for me to have a hotel, and I would stay up there, do the ploughing, do the contracting that was up there, and then obviously make my way. You know, usually what they would try and do is try and get me work sort of leading back towards home. So I'd then just keep sort of, you know, hopping from farm to farm on the way back, sort of thing. Didn't always work out like that, but that's what they tried to do if they could, just because, you know, obviously it was easier for them, and it meant that I wasn't sort of running the Challenger, you know, for 10-12 hours on the road in top gear, because they're not really designed to do that. You know, they're designed for field work, not really road work, and because of the way their gearboxes are set up, you know, it's very easy to burn their gearboxes and their tracks out, running them for, you know, sort of hundreds of miles on the road. So if you could pick up work on the way back, it in a way gave the tractor a rest, and it could go back to its sort of more natural environment of pulling me plough and just sort of chilling in a field. But yeah, so anyway, I'll say what we're going to do is I'll get to the shop, and I'll put the new attachment on that we've got, and then I will have to call this stream here for now. As I say, I started the stream not realising that the TV had been booked, so it's I should have checked first. I will know in the future to check first, but I will be doing another stream this week, hopefully tomorrow, and hopefully tomorrow I'll get started earlier as well. It was only because this morning again, you know, I had recording to do, I had some editing to do, and then I had some errands to run as well, and so therefore I didn't get actually started as early as I wanted to. So as I say, hopefully tomorrow when I do a stream, I will get started a lot earlier, and we'll be able to stream for longer. My aim is a minimum of 2 hours, whereas I think at the moment I've done like probably an hour, just over an hour, and as I say, it's not great, because you kind of get in to the stream, you know, and then you sort of like, and then I go, oh, bye, you know, and you think, well, that was a waste of time. But it won't be like that in the future. I will make sure that I do have enough time to, you know, to set aside to make the stream and everything worth it. Because the one thing that I do really enjoy is everyone coming into the stream and you know, interacting and sort of getting involved. You know, so I don't want sort of an hour or 45-minute stream or whatever, and then I've got to go, because it kind of kills that interaction that you know, that we can get going on. So as I say, it was my bad for this time, but it won't be like that moving forward. Moving forward, I will actually make sure that you know, because I am in the living room, and obviously, you know, I can't stop people from, you know, watching programs that they want to watch, especially when, you know, they've been out to work, you know, since the early hours this morning. Yeah, me too, Jeff. I miss my farm days as well, as you can probably tell, because whether it be in a stream or whether it be in my normal videos, I do talk about my farming days quite a lot. There's just something about, isn't there, being outside, and I know this is going to sound soft, but being out there in nature and just being free, you know, because yeah, there's all these constraints and expectations of life and everything else, but when you're out on the land, when you're in a tractor, it's just you, it's the field, it's the machine, and I don't know, there is a lot to be said for it. You know, it's one of those jobs that, you know, I've always said that not anyone could do that job. You know, I remember on the first farm that I worked on, we were quite busy, and one of our guys had gone off sort of quite poorly, and we needed another tractor driver, and I got my brother in to help, and he couldn't stand it. Like after an hour, he was like, he got off his tractor and he came over to me and he goes, I can't take it in there. He said, like, I know I'm listening to my radio and everything. He said, but you know, I just, it's the isolation. He said, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, oh, I love it. It's just me, the machine, the world, the you know, the birds, the trees, the bees. Ah, it's perfect. You couldn't want nothing more. You know, who wants to be stuck in a building all day? So yeah, I really miss the farm days too. As I say, it's a shame the way things worked out, but they did work out that way, and you know, you just have to make the best of it. And sort of farming sim, although I do grumble about the game, is the sort of nearest I can get to farming now. But as I say, we'll get back to the farm, and then I will have to end the stream. But look out tomorrow, because I will try and stream tomorrow afternoon. Usually around 1 o'clock is when I like to try and get going if I can. It would have been 1 o'clock today, but I got held up by a lovely old lady in the post office who I think lives on her own and just wanted to chat to everyone and everyone for hours and days. And I was like, yeah, I was like, you know, if you'd have spoke to me on a Wednesday, I'd have time and I'd talk to you all day. Like, it'd be not a problem. But yeah, today I kind of sort of had things sort of planned, and it didn't quite work out. And then, as I say, I'm sitting here streaming, chatting away, and someone comes in, hands me a slip of paper that says, by the way, I've got the TV at 3. It's like, oh, okay. So yeah, as I say, I mean, I guess I could mute the mic and you can just watch me play, but I don't know, it doesn't feel quite the same as kind of interacting with each other and you know, sort of you know, you guys telling me what you did, as Jeff has done there, and you know, sort of comparing stories and experiences and stuff like that. You know, I quite like that. You know, I quite like that interaction. I think you know, if you're live streaming, that's what you should be doing, really. You should be interacting with your viewers, not just it's a silent world and you watch me sort of kind of go around on tractors, you know, doing stuff. But as I say, tomorrow we will we will hopefully get going. As I say, it should be in the afternoon tomorrow. Shall I stop so you can get in? Shall I? And then we can then, as I say, get our teeth right into it, and really get moving. But now that we're back to the farm, as I say, I'm going to end the stream here because for the reasons I've explained. But I thank you all ever so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully the sound and everything was okay. Hopefully the visuals was okay. Hopefully everything was working as it should. Again, I did test it before I started, just for sort of 5 minutes, and everything seemed to be working okay for me. But as I say, thanks ever so much everyone for joining me, and I'll see you again tomorrow afternoon, and I'm hoping to start around 1. What I'm going to do is, moving forward, is I'm going to put a community post up about 15 sort of 20 minutes before I do go live, so that you guys can sort of kind of hopefully be ready and waiting, and we can all sort of get going from the beginning. But as I say, thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.